Hello again, Cody, Jillian. We are back with another video.
And this is actually going to be, this is going to be our last of this little
Kind of
sleeping
series,
segment.
yeah.
So
Sleeping
we're kind of wrapping
series.
it up here.
So we're going to cover weeks 11 to 14, 11 to 15, which is basically, 2.5, 3 months, which is our daughter, Collins, is going to be 9 or 10 weeks, something like that.
I think 10. It's really terrible, but this is what happens.
So we're coming up on this kind of last, video, this schedule. So big thing happens here is another feeding is removed and you stretch your feedings longer. So the baby may or may not be eating longer. They're certainly eating more than they were.
A little tidbit, they're actually going to be eating not less, but shorter. Especially if you're breastfeeding, the older your baby gets.
They're just more efficient, right?
Yeah, they're more comfortable with feeding at this point. They know how to do it. And they're honestly going to start eating a lot faster. So like for our daughter and really all of our kiddos, I would say through the first 3 or 4 weeks, it was about 30 minutes per feeding, 15 minutes each side.
Mm-hmm.
I would say now, again, I think she's between 8 to 10 weeks old. She's probably eating in 15 minutes. So keep that in mind because that's also really helpful.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, I guess the other thing that I would say is, as far as schedule adjustments, again, our daughter Collins is sleeping through the night right now. So we're roughly doing feedings every 3 or so hours. The big thing that we've called out before is wake time. Wake time around this age bracket, if you will, can get upwards of an hour, which seems like a long time, and it kind of is. But that's an hour including feeding.
Their feed time.
So if they feed for, let's just say they feed, burp, and change their diaper in 30 minutes, that's pretty normal.
30 minutes.
That's probably normal for us. Another full 30 minutes of wake time is typically what Collins is doing, and then she's going down for a nap. And again, just to call attention to the wake time, it's super important as they get older that they have that wake time. Just like if you have older kids, if you have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, like they need, playtime. They need stimulus and that kind of thing.
To take his nap and stuff.
And so it's important, just as important for babies to get that. That helps them exert energy. It helps develop fine motor skills. But most importantly, it helps get them tired so that they can actually...
They'll nap a lot better.
Yeah, get to sleep and nap better. And that's not necessarily across the board. Like, sometimes it takes Collins a little bit longer to go down on certain naps. But in general, it really, really helps her be able to take better naps. The other thing that we're kind of looking to do during this time period is tummy time.
Yeah.
Or
and
tummy
honestly,
sleep.
Yeah, I was going to say tummy
or
time.
Both.
Tummy time is actually something I think is recommended fairly early. We are not super strict about it, but for sure, now that wake time is being extended, you're kind of allowed this time to let your baby explore a little bit more. Putting them on their stomach, on a blanket. Honestly, you can have toys. I know there's so many bells and whistles these days. I mentioned in that last video, we keep our kiddos pretty low maintenance, not a lot of bells and whistles, but tummy time is just really helpful, gets their neck really strong. And that leads me to sleeping on your stomach. So these days it is recommended, hospitals across the board lay them on their back to sleep, which I think is just wise.
Why do they recommend that?
Well, when they are newborns, they don't have that neck strength. They're not able to move their head, so God forbid if your baby spit up or something, or they couldn't breathe. They wouldn't be able to do anything about it.
They can't move their head.
Yeah, and so, again, we're now talking through, 15 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
Your baby should really have fairly established neck muscles. You'll see it when they're playing tummy time. They'll be able to look around.
Even when they're feeding, they're kind of like...
Yeah, even like our daughter now, when we burp her, she's moving her head, no problem. Now is a great time to introduce sleeping on their stomach. In the past few videos, we mentioned like swaddling and sleep sacks have been really helpful. Keeping them kind of tight and secure helps them sleep really well. I know people who use sleep sacks through, I think, 2 years old, honestly. So all of this, do what works best for you and your kiddos. But something you may want to try to kind of get away from that and, again, keep them pretty low maintenance, be able to sleep wherever, whenever, is sleeping on their stomach. Now, we can do that now because if Collins spit up or if she was uncomfortable, she would have the ability to pick up her head and move it to the side if she needed to. Because, again, I would not swaddle them and do this. No. This, just so we're clear, like, baby is free and you just lay them down on their stomach. Because they're laid on their stomach, they're getting that closeness that they would feel with a swaddle or a sleep sack. And because their arms are going to be, they're going to kind of like froggy style, there's not going to be a lot of area for them to move, but they'll be able to move their head, which is most important. So again, in our last video, we talked about around this time is kind of as early as we would recommend, but also potentially see your baby sleeping through the night. If that doesn't happen by week 10, please do not worry at all. They might still be figuring it out, and that's okay. So now, even through up to 15 weeks, your baby may be starting to figure it out and start sleeping through the night.
I remember when we did tummy time with Quinn,
that
our
worked
first,
really well with her.
It worked really well with her because she was just like a ninja in the swaddle. And she always got out. It interrupted her sleep. But when we started putting her on her tummy and we didn't have to swaddle her, we just put a blanket, over the top of her back, she started to sleep a lot better. And just like, I guess I would also just say, I would recommend starting with nap times. So just like we recommended when you're kind of pivoting the, from inside of your room sleeping regularly to in their crib or whatever that looks like, start to do that on, during the day with naps and stuff. We would recommend the same with sleeping on your tummy.
Yeah.
Number one, it's easier because it's during the day, so you can keep an eye on them, whoever's home or whatever that looks like.
See how they do with it.
Yeah, and then, can kind of adjust that way. And but I would definitely recommend starting with those kind of
the naps,
daily naps, and those, in the mornings, and start that tummy time, and then, gradually go to over the night. But I'll just be quite frank. I love when they get to tummy time or sleeping on their tummy, because I'm horrible at swaddling, like just the worst.
He's not gifted.
And it alleviates that pressure of having to do the perfect swaddle because... Oh,
hey, kiddo. This is Quinn.
This is our daughter.
So that's our daughter, Quinn.
All right, cut, edit. All right, I'm finishing up my conversation.
Swaddle skills.
Yeah, my swaddle skills really bad. So tummy sleeping is amazing because now you don't need to have the perfect swaddle to be able to get them to, kind of stay asleep. They're just able to really hunker down, feel almost womb-like because they're, face down. And so it's really great. And again, this is what we're going to look to do for Collins within this week or next week or whatever.
So again, if baby wasn't sleeping through the night by 10 weeks, it's possible that they're now doing it through up to 15. But the tummy sleeping is a great opportunity, I guess. See if that works, because
if they're struggling or if they're transitioning,
if they're having a hard time,
could be a good
they haven't figured it out yet, this could really help them. I mean, it could be like a swaddle issue, it could be just a comfort thing. Again, our daughter Quinn loved sleeping on her tummy. I sadly, honestly, don't remember how Madden took to it, but again, naps are a great time to workshop, any adjustments you're trying to make to their sleep
schedule
environment. Again, it feels a little less risky because you're talking about, an hour or 2 hour nap versus overnight. So see how they do on their tummy during naps. If it works, awesome. Try it at night, and maybe that could be, what pushes them over the edge. If they're still not sleeping through the night at 15 weeks, do not worry about it. I would just encourage you to keep trying different scheduling things, stay on the same schedule, allow them more time crying it out or make any adjustments that you think could help. But they'll get there. You've got this. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
I hope it's helpful.
Again, we wanted to share kind of our experiences, things we've read, things we've done.
What's worked, what hasn't.
What's worked, what's haven't worked, what hasn't worked. But we want to do this because, we love kids, we love family, and, we also know that in this day and age, there's so many different resources and things you should do and read and see and everything. And we've just found, there's just be a lot. It's just a lot to go through.
Overwhelming.
And so we want to be as concise and as simple as possible and provide as much, experience and detail as possible. So that's why we created these videos. And again, every kid's different. We've got 3 and they're all different. So make sure you adjust accordingly. But these things have worked with our children, and, if we do have more in the future, which we plan on doing, we will continue to do the same. But this kind of wraps up this series on sleep. We are going to provide some additional videos as far as like specific scheduling stuff, because with these videos we are more high level, didn't want to get too granular, but we'll go through the schedules we do, the feedings we do, potentially even like what the amount of milk looks like, or whatever.
And any questions, like specific questions or topics.
Please reach out to us. We would love to. We're just kind of starting this. We don't know, what's going to happen, and so if there's something that you have questions about or want to see or kind of talk through, we are happy to be available. Again, we're not experts. We just want to share our experiences as parents kind of doing this whole thing. So
because honestly, you can't parent alone. So we hope that friendly and familiar faces can kind of make it a little less daunting, less overwhelming than reading a 700-page book on sleep training or how to be a parent. So again, we hope these have been helpful. They've been really fun. Again, we just really love and are super passionate about family and parenting and kiddos. And so we hope your kiddos will sleep through the night.
Yes.
And that blesses you. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.